Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and today I want to put together a short video for you guys about car buying. I know it's not my typical video, but I just went through this on my Demon 170 getting pre-qualified for that car, and man, it was not easy. It felt like there were all sorts of obstacles to overcome, and truth be told, buying a car right now is extremely difficult. I will explain exactly what I mean. Matter of fact, I will give you 5 different reasons why. If you guys are brand new to my channel, please do me a big gigantic favor. Hit subscribe right over here in the corner. Only 20% of you guys watching this video at home are actually subscribed, and it is absolutely free. And off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
The first thing that I want to address when it comes to why it is so hard to go out and buy a car right now is simply the price of the cars themselves. I mean, we have seen a massive increase in the price of cars, and a lot of it has been pretty recent. As a matter of fact, on a lot of performance cars, we've seen increases up to like 20-25% just in the last like 2.5 years. You guys can literally go look this up in terms of just how fast car prices have been going up and up and up. And if you really think about just an average car in this country at $50,000, that is a payment somewhere around $700 to $800. The statistics are all out there, but we've seen the average car payment go up and up and up and up until the point where basically they have become prohibitively expensive. And there used to be a rule of thumb where you want to spend 10% of your annual salary on your car. That was supposed to be your budget. So you make 100 grand, you go buy a $10,000 car. Well, obviously, if cars cost $50,000, does the average person make $500,000 a year? Absolutely not anywhere near that. So if you're the average hardworking American and you go out and you have an $80,000 salary, okay, and you have to go buy an average car at 50 grand, $700-800 a month, plus you have to insure it, put gas in it, do maintenance on it, all that kind of stuff, you're out, what, $1,200 a month? And if you really look at how much you bring home, say you bring home 65% of what you actually get paid, which is about average in this country, you're actually spending over 30% of your take home just on your car. So that is a really glaring statistic. So, and like I said, if you're into performance cars, it is even worse, way worse. So, you know, cars have basically become almost unaffordable to the average person. The next thing that I want to talk about is interest rates. And our interest rates right now are just flat stupid. It doesn't matter if you're trying to buy a car or buy a house, they are just borderline ridiculous and really kind of prohibitively high. And if you actually look back to just like January of last year, the average interest rate on a new car for a 60-month term was like in the threes, in the low threes. And then here we are, what, say a year and a half later, a little over a year and a half later, they're in the mid 7s. And believe it or not, I think that statistic is actually a little bit low. If you go on Dodge's website and you look at what they actually advertise for a great interest rate with the top beacon score, right? The top tier score, which is probably somewhere in the high 7s or even the low 8s, they're advertising like in the low to mid 8s. Like that's really good. And it's just amazing to me how the interest rates have gotten so out of control. And if you go in and you get one of those calculators and you start calculating how much difference it makes in your payment, especially the longer your term, it makes a massive difference in your payment. So not only are the cars way more expensive, but now you've got these interest rates that have just ballooned up over the course of the last year and a half, not even 2 years. They've gone nuts. And so if you go out right now and you try and buy a car, they're gonna come back, even if you've been working on your credit or you have a fantastic credit score, they are probably gonna come back with say like an 8 to 9, sometimes 10%, depending on how much you're borrowing. And if you have a below perfect credit score, if you've got something say even in the like the low 7s, they may come back and tell you it's 11-12% on a loan. And you're finding that across the board. And that makes these cars really, really hard to buy. The third thing that I want to address is the banks and the way they are lending money now, because they are way more strict than they were even, say, a couple of years ago. I just went through this with my Demon 170. A lot of you guys know I had that car on order. I have been working really hard to get my credit in just the perfect spot. I've been working on saving up a down payment, doing all the things behind the scenes to make this a reality. And then I went in and I tried to get pre-qualified and got denied repeatedly. trying to figure out what in the world I did wrong. I mean, I feel like I make plenty of money to afford the car. I feel like I checked off all the boxes, and still almost every bank was like, nope. And come to find out, if you've never asked for a car loan as big as the one you're requesting or anywhere near it, a lot of times the banks will just automatically deny you. Previously, I bought my Hellcat. That's the biggest loan I've asked for a car. It was like 60 grand. Yes, I had a fair amount down as well. My credit was in a good spot, but I'm obviously asking for a lot more for this demon. We just talked about how much cars have gone up in price. This is going to affect everybody because you just simply can't get nearly as much car now as you could previously. So most people, yeah, you're gonna have to ask for a bigger loan, but the banks seem ready and willing to just deny you for that one reason. And it's not really a knock on my credit. I mean, it kind of is what it is, but I feel like this could affect a lot of people. So if you don't have really excellent credit, a really fair amount down. Sometimes they're wanting, 30, 40, 50% down. And mind you, if you're out trying to buy a $70,000, $80,000 sports car, you might be really, really hooped. I'm very fortunate to have some relationships to where I was able to get this figured out. But for a lot of people, this is going to be a huge problem, just trying to get financed. And I have seen this across the board. I've talked to a lot of dealerships, but getting people financed for cars right now is really, really difficult, even if you make good money. So definitely something to consider. The fourth thing that I want to mention, and it's also a pretty big one, especially if you are a performance enthusiast, is dealer markup. And this has become all too common just across the industry. And truth is, dealers have absolutely no qualms whatsoever about gouging the customer anymore, at least most dealerships. I do work with a few that are really good that simply won't do that. They don't believe in that practice, but most dealerships, they have no issue with gouging the customer. And really, it prices a lot of hardcore enthusiasts and a lot of brand loyal enthusiasts completely out of the market when otherwise they would be able to afford the car. It really is a huge bummer that practice even exists and that it is allowed. But also something else to think about when it comes to dealer markup is that if you go and you try and get a bank loan for a car that has dealer markup, guess what? The banks most of the time aren't going to cover really any of that markup. That's just additional cash that you have to come up with. So we've already talked about how hard it is to secure a loan, especially for an expensive car. And on top of it, if you have dealer markup, that's even more cash that you have to come out of pocket with. And in some instances, on really high profile cars, the dealer markup could be $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. We've seen this on a lot of the Demon 170s out there, and that is just a shame. Although if you're paying that much markup, chances are you don't really care about money. But like I said, a lot of people out there would love to have a car like that and could maybe stretch to afford it if this practice wasn't out there. But like I said, if you need a loan or anything like that, if you're talking about dealer markup, that is just additional cash that you have to come up with. And most of us simply don't have it. It is truly a bummer. And the last thing that I want to mention, and it really kind of ties in with everything else I've talked about, is incentives. And what I mean by that is dealership and manufacturer incentives. It used to be where the manufacturer would hand down all this kind of like bonus cash and all this sort of stuff that dealerships could use as a sales tactic to help get customers to buy cars, to help get financed because it brought the amount owed down. I mean, there are a lot of benefits to the customer when it comes to like all the bonus cash or the special financing, 0% for 72 months and all that crap.
Get $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2018 Ford F-150 STX Crew Cab, only at Payne West Laco Ford and Payne Rio Grande City Ford.
That stuff has all been out the window for a long time. So really any of the aids out there to not only help sell cars, but to help the consumer afford cars, they're basically gone and have been gone for a while now. It would really be refreshing to see manufacturers come back out with incentives to help the customer, but that is just not a thing. Matter of fact, like we just talked about, everything is kind of going the other way into gouging the customer. And like I said, when you've got all these things coming together, you've got crazy prices, you've got crazy interest rates, banks not wanting to lend money, it makes for a really, really tough situation for end consumers like you and I, especially if you are a performance enthusiast and you're going after cars that aren't necessarily readily available on every lot. It just gets worse and worse. So it is really a shame that they don't offer any incentives for people just to kind of help get them into the hands of the people that love them. So there you have it, 5 different reasons why cars have become so incredibly hard to buy. It doesn't just go for somebody like me who uses my cars to make content. I mean, it's for everybody out there. It's especially hard if you're trying to constantly cycle through cars and make new content, make fresh content. But really for everybody out there, I mean, it's kind of sucks for everyone because, I mean, our wages, as I mentioned, they're not going up like crazy, yet the car prices have just spiraled out of control. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the difficulties with car buying right now, kind of make you guys aware of it. I would love to know what you guys think. Are there any other reasons that I missed? Hit me up in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.